Good day and welcome to another week of A Week at the Plot and a first episode on Tuesday afternoon. I've had one of those days so far today. In fact, it's been one of those weeks in terms of desk work this week. Quite a lot of challenges, quite a lot of information I need not coming through to me, quite a lot of information I don't need coming through to me. So yeah, it's been one of those weeks so far, and I desperately wanted to get down here to just do a couple of jobs. I don't think I'm going to get those jobs done today. In fact, I'm not, because it's quite late in the day. I mean, late in the day for me, with other things that need to go on at home. So I've got some sunflowers, red sunflowers, which I want to sow, and I'm going to be sowing these into pots. The weather is certainly turning. It's got drier, it's got warmer. I still think we're getting maybe a little bit more sunshine, and with that, of course, comes the fact that I need to do more watering. And interestingly, I was saying last week, maybe I swapped out our gravel trays with holes too swiftly with the gravel trays without holes, though actually I don't think I did, because I've had to do watering, as you have seen. So yeah, everything outside needs water and everything inside needs a little bit of water too. Let's have a quick look in the greenhouse and see how things are getting on there. And I've already taken something out of the greenhouse because I want it to become acclimatized to being outside rather than a rather hot greenhouse. Our gazanias here are growing quite well, which is nice, as is the dill. Not sure where that's going to go yet. The lettuce, our own save seed lettuce, is growing rather well now. That will definitely be pricked out and potted up later in the week. Then we come to these basil. So these are seed discs from Lidl with basil seeds impregnated into the discs. And then the basil was sown on the surface of these. Now when I came down, these were drying out, sitting on the surface. And this surface here was also a little crunchy. So I'm wondering whether those basil seeds of either type are going to germinate, because maybe it's just too warm in here and not humid enough. I don't know. Maybe I should put a lid on these. I'm not sure. Be interesting to know what you think. And then we look here at our tomatoes. They're doing okay now. I think I'm going to ensure that the lid is off these during the day so that they don't get too warm. The light here is open. It's on an automatic opener, but still that's at 28 degrees, which I think is pretty warm, and too warm for something. Let me just show you. In fact, you can see them maybe over there. Our butternut squash, I think they're suffering from the heat in the greenhouse, so I'm bringing them out here. And this evening I'm just going to cover them with a propagator lid, and then I'll be down here early tomorrow to take that lid off. I think it's partly lack of nutrients in the soil, in the compost, that they're yellowing, and mainly I think down to the heat of the greenhouse, because even though they like heat, they don't like too much, in my humble opinion. I know there's somebody else that says that squash adore lots of heat, and I think they get on quite well with heat once they're in the ground and once they've established themselves. At this stage I still think they need a little bit of tender care. And of course we've had, it'll be hot in the greenhouse during the day and relatively okay at night now, but of course we've had 2 degrees at night over the past, several times over the past few weeks, which they won't have liked at all. in the poly now, and I think you can see the 3 distinct rows of radish on either side of the lettuce rows. Well, 1 row of radish on either side of the lettuce rows. I have to say, for my OCD and liking things in sort of a nice orderly fashion, this seed tape is rather lovely, because of course the seeds are spaced out very regularly, and it does look as though we've had pretty good germination. I need to water these though, because I need to make sure that they don't dry out. But that lettuce that we planted last week, that seems to have taken quite well too. Or maybe, was it 10 days ago? Oh, I can see just under there a snail. You might not be able to see it, but I can see a snail, so I'm going to take that snail out very soon. This is where we sowed the basil, and at the moment I can only see, I thought there were 3 bits of germination, but I can only see 1 bit of germination, which is just down here. So we'll see how they germinate. Again, I think it's a matter of making sure that the compost stays nice and moist. I've just had a look at those basil in the greenhouse again, and already the seed disc ones are drying out. So I have put a lid on top of them, and I've closed the vents on the lid, because what I'm hoping that will do is keep the moisture in. But maybe the basil will get a little bit too hot, so I'll look at how it is on Thursday. I mean, you know, it's, I don't know. I think it's I think my mood at the moment is an amalgamation of a number of things. The wet weather has certainly meant I haven't got as much done on the plot as I wanted to have done at this point. It also means I haven't sown certain things that I would like to have sown already, like carrots and parsnips. And it means that with the cold nights that we've been having, there are certain things that I have sown that have been a bit retarded in their growth. And then there are other things which really do want to go out, I think, like the squash. So the butternut squash. So I'm going to have to look at the nighttime temperatures coming up to see whether they can go in. Then I need to take out the brassicas. I need to get rid of those this week so that that bed can be used. There are a couple of other beds which I said last week I need to get on top of. I just haven't found the impetus to do big things that need to be done. But you know, I need to find those things. I need to find that time as well. So, and this isn't a poor me, you know, it's not poor me. But going back to those basil in the greenhouse, should I take them out and put a lid on? Would they be better that way? I don't know. I'm going to leave them as is till Thursday and have a look at them. My other thought was whether I put some perlite on top. I don't have vermiculite, but I think I've got perlite, which of course is white, so that will reflect heat and light down. Because, you know, many of you have said, well, some of you have said that basil likes light to be able to germinate, so that shouldn't harm those. You know, the thing is, if that soil is crusting out and the disc is drying out, then what's happening is the seeds are drying out as well. So will they germinate? You know, will putting the lid on, closing the vents, not the vent of the greenhouse, the vent of the lid, and keeping that moisture in and keeping it moist in that sort of closed environment, if you like, will that help, or will that bring on, you know, green and algae growth and that type of thing? I don't know. Time will tell, and we'll know in 2 days. Maybe not for the algae growth, because that may take a little bit longer. But if I come back on Thursday and find that the seed disc has dried out, I am definitely going to be putting perlite on top. And if the compost has dried out as well in the other basil seeds, I'll put perlite on top of that as well. Anyway, yeah, I feel, I don't know, I've been talking about this a little bit on Planet Vegetaria. I am already feeling that maybe it's not going to be the growing year I had hoped for, and I'm wondering whether it's whether this is just climate change and climate crisis, and that we need to make the changes in what we do to accommodate the changing climate. I think it's also partly to do with my neighbours that I got on so well with here moving. It feels very odd coming down here and not having seen them for 2 or 3 weeks. I would come down, and one of the people worked at Sky, and she was at work very early. She was on the gardens at Sky, was at work very early, so she would be walking their dog around sort of 3 or 4 o'clock when I was down here. So I would see them maybe sort of like 2 or 3 times a week. And then of course they tended their plot really well, so both of them were down regularly, so I would see both of them regularly. So yeah, I feel maybe a bit, I'm missing them, I guess that's what it is. I'm missing them. I'm seeing them on Instagram and what they're getting on with and doing, so that's really exciting. But yeah, I miss them. There we are. Gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. No, I'm not. Come on, Paul. No need to get emotional. They're getting on with their lives, and that's what we all need to do, isn't it? Get on with our lives. Yeah, and hopefully in doing that we assist and help and improve other people's lives too. That's the hope. Anyway, don't get philosophical, Paul. Don't get philosophical. You're just here to do a bit of gardening, growing and allotmenteering. See you soon. Bye. Good day. It's a wet day today. After the thunderstorms of sort of Wednesday, Thursday evening and really heavy rain. Yesterday, Thursday, was not too bad a day, and then we woke up to rain this morning, and it's just been constant. So the work going on our house, the painting on the outside, they're off doing a job for a neighbour today because they can't paint. And then we found out that our scaffolding is coming down next week, and it's being moved 5 houses down to do another neighbour. So the road is really being sort of tarted up, which is great. Can you see down there the Cordyline australis and the flowers coming on there, on both of them in fact? I think the one on the right had very few flowers last year, or was it the one on the left? Anyway, they're both going to have flowers on them this year. And there's another one that you can't see right at the back of the garden, which is quite small, and I think I'm going to dig that out and pot it up, so that when we do eventually move from here, which we have no idea now how long that will be, it might be next year, it may be longer than that, but yeah, I'll have it in a pot, and it can grow in a pot, and when we do take it on to wherever we're going to be next, it will be mobile. And the reason being is these came to us from Mum and Dad as little spring onion size palms from their gardens in Guernsey. So these are actually Guernsey Cordyline australis. Anyway, I'm not sure whether I'll get to the plot later on, because if it's wet like this, I'll stay at home and do some Excel spreadsheet work and see if I can find an Agatha Christie to listen to, or watch and listen to in the background. If I do get down to the plot, all it will be to do is to check watering and germination. In fact, I really do need to get down to the plot today to water the beds in the polytunnel with the basil, with the lettuce and with the radish. So yeah, I may see you later, or I may see you tomorrow. Whatever, see you very soon. It's like 6:30 now, and I think it's fair to say that all the slugs are out in force. Come over here to the broad beans. One there, one there, one there. One over there. There. Over there. Oh, but look, there's also a, can you see under there, a sleepy bee? It's because the temperature's got so much colder. It most probably has just rested there to get away from the rain, but because it's been so cold, it's just going to rest over there or there overnight. But you can most probably see pods beginning to form on the ones that we sowed last autumn. You see pods in there. Oh, but yeah, the smaller ones are flowering, but there's lots of slugs. They're just sort of dangling everywhere. Look at that. I mean, I don't mind if they eat these. In fact, there was a pigeon on these a minute ago. Not sure if you can see over there, but there's a pigeon enjoying the brassica, or one of the brassicas. It's bound to fly off in a minute. There he goes. Gosh, it feels as though everything has grown, or all the grass has grown. Not been down here for a few days. But one thing that is lovely, and I think people on coffee have seen it, is how fabulous these iris are. And look down here, there's a slug enjoying a little bath. Oh. Brassica's looking okay, and I think I'm not sure whether it was eating slugs from this one here, or whether it was eating the pods, because you can see here maybe pods are beginning to form where seeds will come. But they won't last long, because these are coming out so that this bed and that bed over there can be used. Yeah, let's have a quick look in the greenhouse. This is really what I want to look at. These discs of basil. Yeah, that's... Those are a bit damp. The top of these are damp. This one's pretty dry. This one's sort of okay, and these are a bit damp, but no germination there yet. And I mean, basil does take a little while, but I think the jury's still out. I think I might put perlite on top just to stop evaporation of the moisture from the top of those discs. I won't do it today, but Yeah, I mean, we're getting 6 degrees again this evening. It's been pretty cold during the day and wet. They're all okay, but with 6 degrees, they're definitely having their cover back on. Let's have a look in the greenhouse now. Not in the greenhouse, in the poly. These lettuce have definitely settled in, and the radish are growing well. I think someone may have watered yesterday. I think they may have done. And then over here, there's sort of 2, maybe these are basil here. And there's something else germinated just there as well. We shall wait and see. We shall wait and see. But yeah, it is pretty wet. You know, it just is. The trays have got quite a bit of water in. Oh yeah, quite a bit of water, you can see there. I think they'll be okay until tomorrow. Yeah. And I was looking at this gorgeous blossom on this, which is, what is it? It's an apple, but I can never remember its name. It's King something. Winter King on MM106 rootstock. This was a grafting I did years ago, which has taken, so this is a quince stem, and this was a cutting that I grafted on here, and it's definitely taken. Winter King is quite an old variety. Anyway, I just thought I would come down and have a look at how things are. Certainly on the joster berries and the gooseberries, these are joster berries. Berries are beginning to form, and I will have to think about covering these very soon. Right, I'll leave it there for today. Hopefully we'll have a whole day over the weekend down here at some point. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. Another bed cleared. More work needed on it with a hand fork, but I realised that this grass right at the front needed to go because it was harbouring far too many snails and slugs and not enough frogs and toads. So time to cut it back. and I think I'll do that a bit around the site as well. Yeah, I need to sort out compost bins, but I think that will be tomorrow, Sunday, or even next week, because I'm just going to carry on pulling weeds now. It's a quiet Saturday afternoon, and I think it's quite nice to just get on and do that. Hello, Georgie. Are you looking for mices? Are you looking for mices? Are you? Good day. As you can see, one of our catties on the site is here. This is Georgie. I call him Georgie anyway. And he's deciding that this is a really good place to lay and watch for mice. He's on the next door plot where our friends who have moved have vacated, and there's quite long grass here now. The new tenant's taking over next week, so I think he's taking the opportunity to just get on and try and find mice and things, and we'll just let him be. Oh, it's so cute, so cute. Well, that was me talking to Georgie a couple of hours ago, and he's actually behind me on the bed in the poly here, and he's been following me around much of today. Actually, he doesn't like to be stroked, but he now seems quite comfortable with being around us, and he sits on my chair in the shed sometimes as well. So it's been rather nice having him around, watching what's going on, checking on what I've been doing. And I've been doing quite a lot. So I have finally put that perlite on top of those basil in the greenhouse, simply because I found that the discs of basil seeds were really drying out. So I've put perlite on, which will allow light through. It'll actually reflect light through, but hopefully will stop evaporation. So we'll try, we'll hopefully keep those discs moist so that the seeds can germinate. Because of course, if they dry out, the seeds dry out, so the seeds might start germinating and then stop and start and stop and start again, and then potentially just sort of give up and die. I've also sown carrots in one of our beds, so I did shallow drills. It's really good compost there, it's really quite light compost, so I did shallow drills and then thinly sowed the seed with my fingers, and I think we've got 4, 8, 12, 13 rows there. There's 4 of a mixed variety, there's 4 nonce, and there's 5 rather of something else. Chantenay. No, there's 4 Chantenay and 5 nonce. So fingers crossed with those. I've padded them down, made sure that the seeds are in contact with the compost, and then I've given those a really good water. And I didn't disturb the soil too much at the beginning because I am hoping that the foxes don't go in there and treat it like new soil, you know. So fingers crossed on that. I am thinking about covering them up, and I will ponder that. I'll ponder that. Then I went on to another bed, which I don't think I filmed because before that I did the flower bed that Richard said that he wanted a cut flower bed this year. So I sorted out what was the poppy bed last year, and I have sown seed tape. I didn't realize it was seed tape. I thought it was just sort of cut flower seed, but it was on seed tape. I bought it at Lidl. I gave that bed a really good weeding, and then I sort of raked it flat, and then made drills again for the seed tape to go in, and put the seed tape down and marked either end, because then on one end I've put some of the dwarf sunflowers that I sowed a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer. On the other side I have sown seed of red sunflowers, and down the sort of between the wildflower mixes of seed tape I've also sown some red sunflowers. So hopefully that will be quite a mixed bed if all of those seeds come up. Fingers crossed. I've always crossed my fingers. I always cross my fingers. Then I went to the bed, the second bed, next to the carrot bed that we had, which has got some broad beans in it, and they're doing okay. Not ideal, but they're doing okay. And half of the bed I have given a really good hand fork over, and I'm going to be putting our chard seedlings into there next week. I was going to put them in today, but when I looked at the chard seedlings, the modules were too wet. So actually I've left them out on top on a little slant at the top of a tray, and they will dry out over the next 24 hours a little bit, and I hope to get them in tomorrow. Though Monday, it's Sunday now, Monday does look as though it's going to be an absolutely drench of a day, which would be a shame, because today is rather glorious. There's bouts of brilliant warm sunshine, sunshine. I've got sunscreen on, and then it clouds over as it's clouded over at the moment, and then the sun comes back, so that's rather grand. And then I've just carried on weeding. I've weeded the potato bed, and I've weeded a bed where we have what they call oxeye daisy in by the apple tree. I've weeded that, and I've just sort of potted and weeded around. So I feel, and I've weeded the bed by the shed as well, because I need to tie up the roses there. But first I think we need to paint the shed. So when I see a few spells of dry days and not wet nights as well, I will get on and do that. And then the final thing that you haven't seen me do is I'm starting to I've taken the lid off the tomatoes in the greenhouse. Last night seemed to be the last night that we were going to get relatively severe for us, cold at this time of year, 6 degrees. It looks now as though it's 9 or 10 degrees overnight for the coming weeks. So what I'm going to do, or what I have done, is I've taken the propagator lid off the tomatoes, and I'm going to leave those. They'll be in the greenhouse with the automatic vent in there, the window, so hopefully they will be fine. And now I'm going to go home and edit this into the YouTube upload of A Week at the Plot. So I might be down a bit later on. If I am, I won't be bringing my camera. But yeah, I just put the camera up for certain of the things that I was doing today and cracked on with those. So yeah, time to go home and ponder what is going to be on the plan for doing next week. Hopefully, as I say, with warmer nights, we might be able to get our butternut squash in. I mean, it's still relatively early for butternut squash to go in, but those butternut squash that we do have, I do think they want to go in. And I think I'm going to use the one of the beds here in front of the poly. I think that's going to be our or even maybe two of them, butternut squash beds this year. I might actually do butternut squash and cucumbers, 1.5 beds of butternut squash, half a bed of cucumbers, and then the other bed, which is by the apple tree as well, I might put the courgettes in there. I'm starting to get a feeling for where things might go now, which I think is always very good. Yeah, there we are. Okay, I'm going to go. I will see you again very soon on Planet Vegetaria for further segments of A Week at the Plot, or I'll see you on YouTube in a week's time for another full upload. Whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope you are enjoying it. Some of you are going into winter as we here go into summer, albeit it looks as though it's going to be a bit of a wet summer, but it is our summer and we have to take what we are given and make the most of it. See you very soon. Happy growing. Bye.